Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Taiwan is experiencing a level of economic growth not seen in decades. As countries across Asia struggle with the effects of an oil crisis brought on by the Iran war, Taiwan and its neighbor South Korea are not only powering through, they're becoming wealthier in the process. That's mostly thanks to surging demand for AI, which runs on tech products produced by the two Asian powerhouses. But looking beyond the impressive numbers, a more complicated story begins to emerge. To learn more about that story, today I'm joined by Min-Hua Chiang. She's an economist and researcher with roles at the University of Nottingham and the East-West Center in Washington, D.C. Min-Hua, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So Min-Hua, we're seeing this breakneck performance now with forecasts of up to 8 to 9% growth for 2026 and exports growing almost 40% in April. So what's the biggest factor at play here?
So first of all, the AI development in recent years play a very important role, especially the demand is mainly from the United States. The government policy, the private investments, the private sectors, they invested huge amounts of money into this industry, the future technology. So when they develop this AI technology, they need a lot of hardware equipment to make this AI work. And guess what? Who is the best manufacturer of the AI equipment? Is Taiwan. So of course, they demand a lot of AI equipment, especially the chips to empower the AI from Taiwan.
But we know that Taiwan exports a lot of different products. It's not just the stuff for AI. So what else other than those goods is driving this growth?
So another important demand is the ICT goods. For example, smartphone, computers, laptops, tablet, and so on. So the reason is because after the trade war in 2018 between the United States and China, a lot of companies, they move their factories away from China to other countries, including Taiwan, to mitigate the impact of the tariff on Chinese goods. So Taiwan now export a lot of final consumption goods that was used to export from China. Nowadays, they move a lot of export capacity back to Taiwan. That also contributed to Taiwan's export growth in recent years.
But beyond the massive success we're seeing in Taiwan's tech sector, the country's traditional industries have really been struggling to navigate issues ranging from the U.S. tariffs to the fallout from the Iran war. So what options do these companies and these industries have for mitigating the effects of such large global shocks?
So people blame the U.S. tariff first, but if we look at the data actually shows that those traditional industries, their exports to the United States either grow a little bit slightly or decline a little bit. The impact of tariff is not that huge compared to Taiwan's export to China. So those traditional industries, they suffer a lot when they export the goods to China. Their export growth declined the most to the Chinese markets. And the reason is because Chinese government has been promoting the domestic production. Now they have the so-called excessive production at home, and also Chinese companies, they have been improving their product quality. So Taiwanese companies in those traditional industries, they are facing severe competition from their Chinese counterparts.
So Taiwan's government has also rolled out relief measures for these traditional industries. But beyond this, what else can they do?
Taiwan should encourage those companies, should help those companies to explore other business, other markets, to diversify their export market away from China to other countries such as Southeast Asia, American, European markets, and so on.
Taiwan's economic performance also seems like it could be a double-edged sword. The country's ability to continue making the chips and tech products needed to drive the AI boom is really dependent on energy that comes mainly from imported fossil fuels. So with the oil crisis at play and the country's reserves very limited, what risks does Taiwan now face?
Yes, so Taiwan also relies a lot on energy from overseas, especially the Middle East. The data in 2025 shows that Taiwan imported about 34% of LNG from Qatar, and the second largest source of imports is Australia, 33%, and the 10% from the United States. So actually, Taiwan can totally trying to diversify the import from the Middle Eastern countries to Australia, the United States, and other countries as well. I think the government now is also trying to diversify those energy sources from the Middle Eastern countries. Taiwan's industries such as semiconductor industry, the electronic industries, they demand a lot of electricity, especially for making the most advanced chips. So the problem is that those power generation relies on the energy imported from overseas to generate the power.
Now, what's the government doing to address this energy issue?
The government, I think last month President Lai Ching-te announced that the government is thinking to relaunch the nuclear plants. So that's a possibility to deal with the potential shortage of power supply. And the government is also trying to develop the renewable energy. So the percentage of the use of renewable energy now is about 12 to 15%. And the government expected to increase the usage of renewable energy to about 30% in the next few years.
Taiwan's economy ministry says it's secured gas supply for most of this year after the stall in Qatari imports forced it to quickly diversify its LNG sources. So can businesses and consumers now rest easy, or do you foresee more trouble down the line?
It's very hard to say. I believe the government is trying the best to keep the energy supply steady, stable, and actually Taiwan is a very important manufacturing place. If Taiwan's manufacturing production encounter any issues that Taiwan cannot produce chips, for example, or ICT goods, actually the whole world economy will be in trouble. And I don't think the Taiwanese government wants to be blamed for that.
Taiwan's government is also offering subsidies to keep fuel costs low throughout this Middle East crisis. But given that these come from taxpayer dollars, could this carry any consequences?
So since a long time ago, I would say maybe since a few decades ago, the government has been using these subsidies to the energy prices to keep the price stable. So that's the way the government has been doing to keep the price at relatively low level. So especially right now, the inflation is also gradually becoming an issue in Taiwan. It is actually very important to control the price not going up to crazy and that affect the people, especially the middle to low income people. They are living in Taiwan because right now Taiwan relies on ICT and semiconductor industries to drive the economy. Their export accounted for almost 80% of Taiwan's export, but the number of people who work in those industries, they only accounted for about 12%. So that means over 80, nearly 90% of the Taiwanese people, they don't work in those booming industries. So their salaries, their payment, their bonus are not as much as the people who work in those industries. So there is a concern about the income inequality. So at this time, at this moment, it is very important to control the inflation to that, especially the daily necessities, to control the price at an affordable level for the majority of people in Taiwan.
Turn now to the stock market. So the TAIEX, Taiwan's benchmark index, has seen a historic rally over the past couple of months, hitting new highs almost daily. The upside is that investor sentiment seems to be way up, but what are the risks involved here?
Right now, the stock market price is going up and up, and so a lot of people, they have high expectations. On the positive side, that may attract more investors to come to Taiwan to invest. On the other hand, many individuals may also want to invest more, especially the ones who invested previously before the stock market price going up. Now they benefited from the stock price booming up, so they may be encouraged to invest more. So this is actually not a very rational investment decision. This is based on their high expectation, not based on the rationality. So that may cause a problem, a potential problem, if too many people they put the money into the stock market based on their expectation, based on the speculative investment thoughts. So this is not going to not very healthy for the overall development of Taiwan's financial markets.
Foreign investors hold up to nearly half of shares on Taiwan's stock market and account for around a third of total trading volume. Does this open the market up to any vulnerabilities?
The regulation and supervision become very important. Whether those money they are coming in to take advantage of the booming stock market, or they are really they saw the fundamental numbers of the companies. They think this company has good prospect in the future, so they want to invest more. They want to invest and to help the company to develop the R&D productivity and so on. So the government will have to pay lots of attention to scrutinize those investment. What is their intention? Are they just coming in speculation, and then they might withdraw the money when the stock market just crash all of a sudden?
So as we move forward in the year and global uncertainty remains high, what do you see as the best and worst case scenarios for Taiwan's economy in 2026?
As for this year, if we look at the number, Taiwan's imports continue to grow. That means Taiwanese companies, they continue to import the raw materials, capital equipment. That means they expect to continue to produce goods for exports. Another indicator is the orders for shipments. So this number also shows a positive growth. So that means in the next few months, the export might continue to expand as well. So I would say that at least in the first half of the year, Taiwan's economy will continue to be booming, thriving in the next few months. But we don't know exactly how long this will last. It will depend a lot on how the AI companies in the United States, how long they will continue to invest in the AI industries. If they see that their investment, they did not get a return as they expected from their previous investment, they may start to slow down the investment or even withdraw their investment in developing the AI. So that will cause problems for the Taiwanese exporters who will supply the raw materials, key components to those AI companies in the United States.
Min-Hua, thanks so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you so much.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more stories on Taiwan's recent economic boom, please follow us on social media or visit our website. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.